Alright, internet, Goat here, back again with some updates on the mighty Harley Benton SG. There we go. So the Harley Benton SG Junior, which is called the DC60, okay. So obviously they can't call it the SG Junior because that's a Gibson. So I've lived with this for maybe a month now. I've done some tweakages, I've done some playing, so I can revise my thoughts on this machine from my several previous videos that are already up. I'm not really going to be doing any playthroughs right now, but hopefully I will be able to link a video in here. I'll see how that goes. Played this in my practice room with the band and the full rig. So here we go. All right, first of all, thoughts. What have I done? All right, first of all, I have shimmed this pickup, so it's a lot closer to the strings now, and you can probably see that the bass here is a lot thicker than it was, or than it would be regularly, because it's got a shim underneath it to raise that up. Consequently, one of these screws doesn't bite into anything. It was a total pain. When I took the pickup off, I had to take the pick off to put the shim underneath it. Several issues here. So the shim I bought was for the Roswell pickup, but the shim was literally just the outside edge of the pickup, of the case. But what that meant is there's the pickup in this case is loose. Well, it was loose, so it wasn't properly attached to the case. It was just screwed into the wood with the case. So it has two tabs on the actual metal pickup, but they were not as wide as the shim. So what that meant was when you put it all together, the pickup just sort of fell in back to where it was, and it'd be rattling around in there. So the pole pieces wouldn't be where they should be. And the case would be bigger, but the pickup would just be inside. So, when I took this off, obviously I realised that. Then I super glued the pickup tabs into the upper part of the original case here, the original pickup case. So it's stuck up underneath it, and then I put the shim under that, and it raised the whole height of the whole thing. So that has held so far, so as long as the super glue doesn't give up the ghost, that should stay the course. So consequently the volume level is a lot more loud. It's a lot louder. It's a similar loudness to my Gibson, but definitely, so I mean, you can get a similar kind of volume, but there's nowhere near as much gain out of this pickup. It's not hot, all right? So, I mean, yeah, it's a bit quieter still, all right? But it's definitely usable, all right? It's more just like a regular P90 now. So it's quite okay. Now, I played it in rehearsal. Tonally, it was quite interesting because usually cheap pickups sound a bit muffly or cardboardy, as I mentioned before, however you want to describe it. So lacking in definition, lacking in top end, lacking in brightness and clarity. This pickup doesn't have that problem. So it's pretty bright. It's got quite a wide frequency range. So it seems to have bottom end and top end and everything in between. It's perfectly usable, as in more usable than the Gibson P90 that was originally in my Gibson SG Junior. This is more usable than that because that one was feeding back constantly. This one doesn't. I mean, it will feed back a bit if you push it, but it's more usable than the Gibson P90. However, it's definitely got some mid-range properties which I'm not massively keen on. It's got something going on in the mid-range which makes it sound harsh, like like a bit tiring on the old ears. All right, so it's fine and it sounds great, and you can EQ it to kind of mitigate that somewhat, which I did. But when you compare it to the bare knuckle Pig 90, it's not as sweet sounding, and it's not as hot. And the mid range and the bare knuckle is a lot sweeter sounding. So this has got some harshness to it. It helps it cut through a mix, I suppose. But anyway, long story short, I mean, the only trouble with this was the height of the pickup. You know, the pickup posts are still bent. I don't even know if they're more bent than they were, but it hasn't moved. So I mean, I don't think it's moving. I've had a few discussions with people on ESG, Everything SG, which is quite a good forum. And they're quite helpful on there. And a few people are like, ooh, that's bad. And then a few people are like, well, if it doesn't move and the action's okay, then just leave it. So when I change the pickup, which I'm still going to do, I will maybe take this off, but it's quite wedged on those posts because it wouldn't fit perfectly, so I had to manhandle it to get it on there. But I might take these off and then put like a pencil or a screwdriver or something inside the post cavities that they screw into, just to see if that's moving at all. Yeah, because I don't want it to be because of this like softness of wood or something. But I mean, as far as I can tell, I think they've just been drilled in at an angle because they don't move. All right, or the posts are just bent. Don't know. All right, but they are the shallow posts that came with this, so they should be quite strong. Don't know. But anyway, at the end of the day, it's not going out of tune. The action is fine. It's good now. Yeah. I've got the neck relief to how I like it, which is basically no relief. It's dead straight almost. As dead straight as you can have it when it's still being playable. Other things. Oh, yeah. So when I glued this in with super glue, like a clot and an idiot that I am, right? I put too much super glue on, didn't I? Obviously. And then when I put the pickup into the case, it splurged out all the super glue all over here, all on the wood, and it made a horrible mess, and I couldn't get rid of it, and I thought I'd ruined the finish. And I kind of did. So what I had to do then was sand it back with some really fine microfiber kind of sanding sheets. And then I got the glue off, but then I made it look even worse because it was all just dull. There was a big patch here. It was just dull. You can see it's not now, but you can just see here, there's a little line there where I couldn't get close enough to the pick guard. Okay. So I buffed it out in the end with T-Cut, which is for cars, but that works really well on poly finish. So if you ever want to sort out some scratches on a poly finish, T-Cut is your friend. Okay, so that gluing experiment, okay, yielded some unfortunate side effects. I sorted it out now, that's okay. Yes, in here, I had a look in here. They're both full-size pots, these pots in there. There's no mini pots. And they are Alpha branded pots from what I understand, are supposed to be quite good Korean-made pots. Although the tone one is crap, didn't work, like barely at all. So I've ordered a replacement harness for this. Some people on the forums were like, no, don't buy a harness, it's a waste of money. Yeah, I mean, I can solder, and I find it a pain. So the premium there is someone else having soldered it for me. So I've only got to do one connection from the pickup to the first pot. The rest will be soldered up, and they're good pots, and they're left-hand taper pots, which I require, being left-handed, and the tone control should actually work, so that would be nice. I get a full tone variation out of this guitar. What else? I really enjoy how this plays, I have to say. I pick it up quite a lot, just as much as my Gibson. I mean, for my money, it plays just as well. The only thing is, so obviously the neck angle on this is a lot steeper, okay? Which is why the bridge is quite high and why the pickup was quite far away from the strings. Because this angle, it's all defined by, if you imagine a triangle, yeah, it's defined by the neck, the position of the neck, okay? The strings have got to follow that position, that angle, all right? Therefore, if your neck angle is more, you're going to have a higher bridge. And if your neck angle is less, you're going to have a lower bridge. And they vary a lot on set neck guitars. You don't get that problem on bolt-ons, because they don't generally have a neck angle, really. Some do, actually. I've got a Schecter, which has got a bolt, which is a bolt-on neck, but it's got an angle, and it's got a tunematic bridge. So if your guitar's got a tunematic bridge, chances are it's got some kind of neck angle. If it's got your sort of Strat or Telly bridge or Floyd Rose, probably not going to have much of a neck angle on it, or any. I always thought there was something wrong if the neck angle was high like that, but I am incorrect. It's been going on forever like this. And Gibsons, some of them will be high, some of them will be low, like the angle will be higher than others. And it actually harks back to, as far as I understand, the jazz guitars and the early massive guitars, so the first sort of foray into electric guitars. And effectively you had an almost acoustic style body, but with a pickup. And the necks on those would be really angled, right? So you'd have a high bridge, usually like a bridge, like kind of the bridges they have on cello type thing, you know, it's like a wooden thing, or a violin, you know, so it raises the whole thing up quite a lot. And I think the idea is actually the bigger neck angle is to make it feel like the guitar's wrapping around you a bit more, which it kind of does, if you know what I mean. So this arm will be further back into your body because the neck angle is greater, so the neck angle is bending around me more, whereas if it was straight, my arm would be further forward. At the end of the day, that looks like a big high bridge, but I mean the difference of playability is nothing. I mean, you don't notice it after 10 seconds, so I wouldn't worry about that at all. So neck angles, they're a thing of much consternation on the internet and much debate, and this one I got was quite high. I saw someone reviewed the or had a same one, did a review either on Facebook or on YouTube, and the neck angle was nowhere near as high as that. Therefore, the strings were already closer to the pickup. Therefore, the volume was already good. So, it's just something that Harley Benton, if you are producing guitars with a higher neck angle, you need to sort out your pickup height, all right? Because that is a bit of a pain. And that is a practical thing because it's just too quiet to use, you know, in any seriousness, all right? And I know you want to make serious guitars for folks to use. So that now is good. So check your neck angles, check your pickup height. All right, but good guitar, plays really nice. Yeah, I really like the neck on it. It stays in tune better than my Gibson. Don't know why, but it just does. So maybe the neck on the Gibson is a bit more sensitive to temperature fluctuation, because I took my Gibson out to a gig the other day and the tuning on it was a nightmare. For some reason, don't normally happen like that, but there we go. Other thoughts? Yeah, the neck is definitely quite chunky. Definitely a chunkier neck than what you get on an Epiphone. Or I don't know about the new Epiphones. But this is not like the slim taper style. This is a C or a D shape from right far back. Yeah, machine heads. I moaned about them being, well, I didn't moan. I commented on them about them being small, which I stand by. They're still small, but as it turns out, they're just based on another set of tuners which Gibson use as well. They're the same size. So Gibson used these size tuners. I just didn't have them on my other SG. I've got the Clousson style ones. Yeah, these are Wilkinson tuners. So, several things that I picked up the first time around. Okay, the misaligned tuners. Okay, they're not misaligned, but they're not dead straight when they're on there. Well, I've had a look at quite a few of my other SG type guitars, and loads of them are like that. And it doesn't affect anything there. The nut, I mean, I said it was a bit narrower than the fretboard. Doing such a good job of showing this to you, aren't I? But again, then I felt the other day on my Gibson, the Gibson nut is absolutely spot on. I've got an Epiphone Iomi Custom, which was a quite expensive Epiphone, and the nut on that one is like a bit further one way and a bit further in the other way. So there's that. Yeah. So next thing, final thing I wanted to talk about, the pickup that I'm going to change for the bare knuckle. I noticed that the gap here between the bridge and the pickup is a lot bigger on the Harley Benton than on the Gibson, which I'll show you right now. So there's the Gibson. Now you can see I could fit my finger in the gap there. Can I fit my finger in the gap here? No way. No chance. So the light's a bit bad. But you can see, there we go, that is loads closer to the bridge than that. Look at the gap there. And look at the gap there. Alright? So this means two things. Oh, and there's another thing. Sorry. That's a standard Gibson shape P90. This is the Harley Benton shape P90. And I measured it, and they're not the same. This is longer and narrower. And this is less wide but more fat. Okay? So what that means is twofold. Firstly, will the bare knuckle fit the screw holes on here? Don't know. Also, this is further up. Therefore, in relation to the strings are going to be slightly closer together where this pickup is than where that pickup is, which means that when I put that pickup on there, it probably isn't going to line up with the pole pieces with the strings. Okay? So I rang bare knuckle, had a nice chat with Timmy there. He thought they'd probably be all right, but he did say if the worst comes to the worst, they might be able to, bare knuckleize that pickup or put a Pig 90 into that case. That's probably more expensive and more time consuming or more problematic. So the question is, there's a cavity under this which is for the wires. The pickup doesn't really go into it, but if I was to try and mount this further down, would the cavity be exposed at the top here? Okay, how close is it to the top part of this pickup? Don't know. Need to have another look. Because if I could mount it further down, then it would negate the problem of the pole pieces potentially not being in line with the strings. So there's that. I could do that, but I don't know until I get there. So I'm going to order that soon. The wiring harness my missus is getting me for Christmas, and that's already been ordered or delivered even. So I shall put both of them in at the same time when I get them. All right, but there we go. So far, so good. Harley Benton, good. Gibson, good. Harley Benton, good. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't get the snobbery really now. I've always played cheap guitars and nicer expensive guitars when I can find them. And I don't really think there's a lot of difference, if any, especially once you sorted the pickups out. So, it's a brand thing. I mean, yeah, this Gibson It's probably my favourite guitar though, saying that. Just because probably the quality control just gives it that extra 1%. You know, just a little bit tastier. But this, I mean, it's great to pick up. It's great to play. It sounds nice. It will sound really nice when the pickup's changed. So this is probably going to be my main gigging guitar, because I'm not so worried about it getting nicked as I am that. So there we go. Right, that's it for now. Goat out. Ah!